John Penn is the forgotten son of William Penn. Despite being the primary owner of Pennsylvania after William Penn's death, there is very little known about John's life. He died at a relatively young age and very few of his papers exist. His life is further obscured by the more well-known John Penns with the same name. In this video, I hope to shed a bit more on John's life. Also, I will show you one of the only known land grants signed by John Penn during his very brief time in Philadelphia. To start this story, we need to go back to February 23, 1694. On that day, William Penn's first wife, Gulielma Springett Penn, tragically passed away. Just 2 years later, on March 5, 1696, William Penn remarried Hannah Callowhill. He was 52 and she was 25. Despite the age gap, the couple seemed to get along very well. William Penn planned to return to America and take his family with him. This consisted of his wife Hannah and his daughter from his previous marriage, Letitia. The family set sail in October 1699 and arrived in Philadelphia about a month later, taking up residence at the Slate Roof House. During this time, Hannah was pregnant with the couple's second child. John Penn was born at the Slate Roof House in Philadelphia on January 28, 1700. This later gave him the name John Penn the American, since he was the only immediate family member of the Penn family to have been born in America. The Penn family also spent some of their time at Pennsbury Manor, about 26 miles north of Philadelphia, and some of the records show that items in the house were specifically for John, who would have been a baby at the time. There was also likely a dedicated nursery room for John, which is shown in the modern reconstruction of Pennsbury Manor. When William Penn sailed back to England in November 1701, he took his family with him, including John. John Penn was then raised by a cousin in Bristol, England, where he learned a trade as a merchant specializing in linen. Not much else is known about John's early life. When William Penn died in 1718, his wife Hannah fought and won to keep the province of Pennsylvania from Penn's children with Gulielma. Instead, the province went to John, Thomas, and Richard, with John getting the highest share, 50%, while Thomas and Richard each got 25%. John Penn once again traveled from England to Pennsylvania in September 1734, but stayed in America for less than a year. It isn't clear where he lived or what he accomplished while he was back in Pennsylvania. John likely helped assist with the border dispute the Penn family was having with the Calverts, and also had a hand in probably the Walking Purchase of 1737, which deprived the Native Americans of land in the colony. John Penn died on October 25, 1746, at the age of just 46, after what the London Evening Post said was a, quote, long and painful illness. This could perhaps also explain why John might not have had any significant impact in history. Perhaps he had been suffering from illness for a long time and it sidelined him. We simply don't know. It's also clear that John Penn was never married and had no children. Despite being the primary owner of Pennsylvania after the death of his father, very little is known about him. John is often confused with and obscured by John Penn, the signer of the Declaration of Independence, or John Penn, the last colonial governor of Pennsylvania. On Find a Grave, John's burial location is said to be unknown, and his birthplace at the Slate Roof House in Philadelphia was sadly torn down in 1867. Today, the spot where John Penn was born in Philadelphia is an open section of land that honors his father, William Penn. I was lucky enough to find a land grant signed by both John and Thomas Penn at auction. This was signed in May 1735 during the brief period of time John Penn would have returned to Philadelphia. I have searched extensively for any other documents signed by John, but haven't found any. But as you can see, the signatures match what I found below his portrait, making this one of the very few items left associated with John Penn.